Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. Today after the day job, I am off to check out the new John Woo action film, Silent Night. So what is the story on Silent Night? Well, it tells the story of a man who's avenging his dead son after a shooting on Christmas Day. During the shooting, the man is shot through the neck, destroying his larynx and his ability to speak, hence the name Silent Night. I do find it odd, though, that it's spelled N-I-G-H-T, because this is kind of a missed opportunity, right? Silent Night with a K, but anyways, I digress. This film looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a typical John Woo, over-the-top, crazy action film. I am a big John Woo fan. I've really enjoyed a lot of his movies since the first time I saw Hard Boiled back when I was in high school. It was showing at the movie theater I worked at way back when at the mall, and I remember my friends and I saw this movie, and it was one of those moments where you're just sitting there watching a film and you're just like, this movie is going to change things forever. And it kind of did, I guess, for some of us who really like action films. Anyways, guys, I got to get out the door because I got to get to work, and then after that, I am off to check out Silent Night. Welcome back, just getting home, and you know what, guys? After I sat down and thought about this film a little bit, and really thought about it, I did enjoy it. I just had to sit down and mull it over a little bit before I started talking about it. This movie is definitely unique, and I do feel that heavy, hardcore action fans are going to absolutely love this film, but I do think that it's kind of a niche film. So let me get this started, shall we? I'm going to start things with the negatives and then move into the positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. Right out the gate, this was something I was not aware of, and this isn't necessarily a negative, but it's something that you as a viewer should be aware of. There is not any dialogue. There's no dialogue in this film. Zero dialogue. Now, as I said in the introduction, the lead character gets shot in the neck and cannot speak. Well, that is tied into everybody, apparently. Nobody in this movie talks. There is no dialogue. There are some unique spots that I did like where they use radio and TV broadcasts and things of that sort to kind of give you an idea of where the story is going and all, and that was a neat little touch, but as in like people having real conversations and so on, this movie does not have any of that at all. So just to make you aware, if that's something that you need in your movies, you're probably not going to be a big fan of this movie. Now let's get into the actual negatives that I didn't like. Okay, so the gimmick that I thought was cool, I did think it was neat that they did the whole silent thing. It took me a little while to get into it, but the more I thought about it, I was like, actually, that was kind of cool. The only problem I had with it was because of the fact that you don't have any dialogue and no one's talking to each other or anything for the first part of the movie, it gets a little draggy. The movie clocks in at about an hour and 45 minutes. And honestly, guys, they needed to shave it down just a little bit. A movie like this should have been a nice, cool hour and a half, hour 29, whatever. Pushing it to the 145, it seemed like the movie went on a little too long. It is a little bit on the noticeable side, especially during the first part of the story, which is neat because it does something that I did like. So this is going to be one of those combined compliments, negatives. I did like the fact that they showed how he becomes who he is, okay? So normally in these action, adventure, everyday hero type things, they just go out there and all of a sudden, hey, this guy is a badass. He can do anything. He's untouchable out of nowhere. Well, this film at least goes through and shows you how he gets to that level. He doesn't really become an unstoppable badass, he just learns how to do these things because he doesn't know how. And I like the fact that the film did take the time to show you this is how he learned all of it. The only problem is that it feels like it takes forever getting where you're going. But once you finally get to the action, oh wow, that's where this movie shines. Another thing about the movie that I wasn't a huge fan of, and it's kind of the lack of dialogue again, is there's a character that I don't feel like they really needed to be in this film whatsoever, who just kind of shows up at the end of the movie, and I totally think that this person only existed so this one scene can happen. And I don't understand why it was needed, to be perfectly honest, because this person wasn't needed at all, and throwing them in added more questions than answers to anything. Okay, so let's get into the positives, shall we? Now, as I said, the gimmick does drag it down a little bit, but I did like it. It was kind of cool because it gave you the ability to pay more attention to the action, and as we all know, that's John Woo's strong point, is extremely well choreographed, well made action sequences. And this film delivers in spades. It is amazing. All of the action sequences are extremely well done, very high octane, and they all look great. Now, there is some questionable CGI in a couple of parts, but come on. I mean, at this point in time, we all know that the reason why CGI is used anymore, especially in stuff like this, is to pull off stunts that could possibly really hurt somebody. So, you know what? I don't care. We got a cool scene out of it all. Maybe it looks a little bit on the cartoony side, but hey, who cares? It was still a really, really fun action film. And I think that's where the movie's really core is just fun. And I guess, you really can just completely shut your brain off and just watch this movie and take in the spectacular event that you're watching in front of you. The film is good in that regards. When it comes to the action side of things, the story is a been there, done that kind of thing, but by using the silence, it makes it kind of unique. It makes it just a little bit different than your average revenge tale. I should have thrown this in the negatives, but I'm just now realizing there's one more thing that I want to mention, and that was I went into this movie expecting more of a Christmas theme. It's really being pushed as a Christmas action film, to rival that of Die Hard or last year's Violent Night. The problem is, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no reason. I mean, yes, the death of his son happens on Christmas, and so that's why he's going to seek his revenge on Christmas. But other than that, the whole thing is not there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Christmas. At no point in time did it really bring anything to the movie. It just seemed like an excuse to be able to call the movie Silent Night. So in that regard, yeah, I should have had that in the negatives. But all in all, honestly, guys, I think this was a solid film, but I do feel it's something that isn't going to necessarily appeal to the masses. Now, if this does sound like something that is right up your alley, you're familiar with John Woo, you know what you're getting into, go see this movie. It's definitely something that you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, I think this might be a stream it out of curiosity for you, if it's not really your cup of tea. If you're not somebody who's frothing at the mouth every time an action film is being released in theaters that looks like it's not going to be based off of some kind of comic book character, this is probably not your movie. And that's okay. It's definitely for a specific fan. Well, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.